Hello and welcome to another video, but this week not about the construction of Heaton Lodge Junction. No, that's actually for Friday. This one is kind of a special edition, if that doesn't sound too pompous, and it's where I want to take a pot shot, or actually to be more accurate, I want to take a broadside to model railway manufacturers. And if you keep watching, you'll see why. It's something I've been wanting to do for absolutely ages. But before I do, let me just let you guess where I am. And some of you that watch my videos pretty regularly will already know that I am at the site of the Dent Station signal box. In fact, I'm stood on the very place where Dent Station signal box used to be. I think it was demolished back in the 1980s. And just right on time is coming... What is it? Yeah, it's the coalless log train. So we're going to have to can this for a few seconds while we watch it go by. Do you know what? It always amazes me how long that train is. It's got to be a couple of thousand tons. But anyway, yes, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, I'm at the site of Dent Station signal box. And the reason I used to come here as a youngster was because my father was Canon of Wakefield Cathedral. And of course, his boss was the late, great Bishop Eric Tracy. And he used to bring me up and my dad, and we used to have a day out sometimes on the Settle Carlisle line. It only happened a few times. But I do remember the signal box being here, and I do remember being allowed to climb on the veranda and look at the trains. I remember specifically a class 40 coming past on a van train. I can't have been more than, I don't know, 6 or 7 years old. But they were fun days, good times, and yeah, I'll always look back and remember that late great bishop, because as most of you will know, he wrote some fantastic books. Photography books. But anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get on with the true topic. But before we do, let's have the introduction and crack on. Hello, and I'm back from Dent now, and a nice couple of days I had up there as well. Just really nice weather, and in fact today it started pouring with rain. It's Sunday today, and I am back in the basement, as you can see. So what's all this about me having a broadside at manufacturers? Well, to be honest with you, as I said earlier in the intro, it is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and it's all about costs in a way, but there is a twist to that. So let me come on to that in a second. So costs, we all know that the price of, for example, 00 gauge locos, good 00 gauge locos, get my words out, is now almost the same price as O-gauge locos. And manufacturers seem to insist on selling to the same old people all the time, which is you and me, modelers. They put adverts in the railway magazines and in the railway press, and yes, they just bang on and sell to modelers all the time. And let's face it, we're a shrinking market. We're all getting older. Some of us are dying off, unfortunately. And I'm at the younger end, and I'm in my 50s. And if I look at the stats on some of my videos, most people who are watching are over 65, and I think 0.1% are under 20, which really does tell you something. It tells you that we need more people in this hobby, and it's not a big thing. It is a cliche. It's been going on for years, and I certainly don't want to come across like one of these guys. But let me just tell you where I'm going with this. Who remembers this? Yeah, of course, the Hornby adverts from the 1970s. Now, I never forgot those, primarily because I was probably the same age as those kids in that, or that kid in the advert. And I know Hornby did some in probably 2006, 2007 as well. But to the best of my knowledge, that is the last time that Hornby tried to get into the ribs of the general public. And that is such a huge market. It's done in Germany all the time. Manufacturers hit the general public, but we won't go there. I'm just going to give you an analogy of why the general public is such a more lucrative market for manufacturers to get into. Because if they did, and they made an effort to get into the general public's ribs and sell direct to the general public, then the costs will come down because they'd sell a hell of a lot more. And let's face it, the directors of manufacturers could take home bigger pay packets and all the rest of it. I kid you not. So how are they going to do that? Well, let me give you a little bit of an analogy. Because 20 years ago, I set up a driving experience company, and me and my business partner, we used to sell driving experiences to car enthusiasts, which of course you would do, wouldn't you? Just like model railway manufacturers sell to us, the modelers. And we did all right over the next 2 years, from 2005, I think it was, 2007. We did okay. And then 2007, I remember it like yesterday. It was the run up to Christmas. I was walking through a shopping centre. Some of you might know it, MacArthur Glen Designer Outlet in York. And they've got quite a few, as you probably know, up and down the country. And I saw a car on a plinth, I think it was a Peugeot, and there was a couple of girls there giving out brochures for this new model of Peugeot. And I thought to myself, hang on a minute, we're missing a trick here. Why don't we put some cars that we don't use during the winter, it was coming up to Christmas, as I've just said, put them in shopping centres up and down the country and sell, with the help of somebody stood next to the car, driving experiences direct to the public. So I managed to persuade my business partner, and I'll never forget the day. It was the first Saturday in December 2007, and we had 2 or 3 cars outside the MacArthur Glen outlet in York. It was freezing cold. The cars were so wide we couldn't even get them in the shopping outlet, so we were stood outside. As I just said, it was bitterly cold. The doors opened at 10 o'clock. People started coming into the car park. Well, by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we had a queue to the card machine 20 metres long, if not 25 metres long. And our sales went up 1,000% over the next 12 months, purely because we changed tactics. Now, the point of this video is just to that's an analogy of a real experience whereby I made an effort to try and sell to the general public, and manufacturers of model railways could do exactly the same. Why can't they just hire some space in a designer outlet or a shopping centre, Metro Centre up at Tyneside, Thurrock down in the south, on the run up to Christmas, put a load of train sets in there, or assemble some, small model railway with maybe the local retailers, and sell to the general public. It will get new people into the hobby for a start. They could do it, but they don't. The other thing that I used to do, which I caught on to when I was in the car business, was I used to put adverts in women's magazines on the run up to Christmas, because women is a fact, a little bit sexist in these politically incorrect times, but it's a fact that women buy for men and for children. So I used to sell driving experiences through the women's magazines like Woman's Own and Woman's Realm, all the way up to Christmas Eve every year. And we used to do really, really well out of it. Now, have I seen a model railway manufacturer ever try and sell train sets, have a list of the retailers in women's magazines on the run up to Christmas? No, never. And it really gets my goat, because the point is, and the point of this video, I don't think for a second any model manufacturers will take one hell of any notice about me. But it's a real shame, because I hope that some of them will get the tail end of this video and just basically try and do something different, not sell to modelers and just to the modelers who, as I've said earlier, are shrinking. We're getting a smaller market every single year, and so the costs go up all the time. Just try and do something different. And basically, that's all I've got to say, because if they did and they attempted to get new people into the market, then the costs of our models that we buy would come down. They really would, because they'd be selling a hell of a lot more. And our driving experiences came down because we were selling 1,000% more than what we were the year before that. So next year, as most of you know, I'm going to be taking this huge model railway and I'm going to be putting it direct in front of the general public. Not just modelers, I've said before, I hope all you guys will come wherever it goes and it'll be going up and down the country. But I want the general public to come as well. A, because as a businessman, they're going to be quite happy to get their hands in the wallets and pay the £10 fee on the door. It's going to be in front of hundreds, well, thousands of people that have probably never been to a model railway exhibition before, but it's going to be there straight in front of them in a huge marquee that I haven't got a clue what I'm going to pay for yet. But anyway, at places like Chatsworth House, out of town shopping centres, like the MacArthur Glen designer outlets up and down the country. And you would think that I would have had an email or something from some of the manufacturers to say, great idea that, can we join you, can we do something? Well, not only have I not had emails, I've written to all them. Do I ever get any responses? Very rarely. Backman for a start. Just ignore every email. Yes, it gets my goat, it really does, because these manufacturers are just full of people that are closed-minded, and it could change. And I really hope that this video gets to some people who can push a few buttons and do something different for a change. Now, they're not all the same, I've got to tell you that. Acura Scale, I've always admired Acura Scale for the branding, and they sent me a little shunter, you might remember in a video I did a few months ago. At least they made an effort in doing that. Pico supported me by giving me a lot of track for this layout, which I'm really, really grateful for. Hellion in the past, of course, have always supported me with locomotives and stuff like that at much cheaper prices. But the point is, they could all come together and do the sort of things that I've already illustrated. Get into shopping centres, put adverts in women's magazines, and do all these kind of things. And at the very least, join me in trying to get this railway and this great hobby that we all enjoy into the general public for the benefit of everybody in the future. Now, that's why I do take my hat off to the likes of Making Tracks and Pete Waterman and all the rest of it, because they've tried to do that, and I take my hat off to them for that. But there's so much more that could be done. And I really hope when this goes out on tour, there's not going to be just me on my own with my little team who give me a lot of support in the background. I really hope there's some manufacturers that come along for the ride and take advantage of the fact that I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do. So I'll let you know next year whether any of this video has made any difference whatsoever. But the point of the video, as I keep saying, is to get the manufacturers to try and do something different and lower the cost of the prices of all our models in the hobby that we so much enjoy. I hope that's pressed a few buttons, and please leave me some comments about what you've heard today in the comments. I really appreciate them and I answer them all. Have a great week, and I'll see you on Friday.